Driving, 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 music's blaring in my ears. Engines roaring, 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 the horizon's drawing near. Pedal to the floor, no more feet in the door. Gonna drive right out of this bitter night. I'm a constant seeker in conversely.
Nonprofits. I've worked in the nonprofit world for over 30 years. In those years, I've realized that the majority of the community does not know about the organizations that provide such critical services and benefits to our community that we sometimes take for granted. Nonprofit Insider is a chance to hear about the organizations that touch so many in our community. The opinions expressed on Nonprofit Insider are not necessarily those of WMPG, its staff and underwriters, or of USM. Today we have Godfrey Wood. Godfrey is the Executive Director of Portland Habitat for Humanity. Welcome.
Thank you, David.
So, we had our little picnic outside
We
and because of the great weather today, we got to know each other a little bit. So, tell us a little bit about how you would describe Habitat for Humanity.
I would describe Habitat for Humanity as one of the most best-known brands in the entire world. It's just got this incredible reputation, and yet I don't think a lot of people know what we really do and how we accomplish what we do.
So, what do you really do?
What we really do is
I've been priming that question.
what we really do is we build homes in partnership with our families, and once we select them as qualified to be one of our families, they put in about 275 hours of sweat equity building their own homes.
So when you talk partnership, you provide some of the financial and material resources, and the families provide the sweat equity.
Yes, and we have a lot of other volunteers who are putting sweat into the home building.
Right.
We figure about 800 volunteers per home we build are involved.
Wow. And those 800 volunteers, how many hours does that translate to?
Takes us 6 months to build a home,
Okay.
and we work 6 days a week, probably 8 hours a day. We have 2 people in our construction crew now, and the rest are all volunteers, and we have some regular work groups. We have a Tuesday group, a Wednesday group, and we get a lot of corporate volunteers coming out.
So you are a nonprofit, though, that is a 501c3.
Yes.
So you do raise money, you do other things that nonprofits do, but you
Yep.
have this unique work piece that many nonprofits don't have.
Well, that's true. We do offer tremendous opportunities to volunteers. Some of our volunteers have disabilities. We encourage them to come in and work, particularly in our retail store. And we couldn't do what we do without volunteers.
Now, I've had the very good fortune of being in your retail store.
Did you buy anything?
Of course.
Okay.
Okay. What do you call it, and what is so unique about it?
We call it the Restore. There are about 800 of them across the country now. The brand was established by a man named Larry Gluth, who's now Senior VP at Habitat International, and he's the one that did all the branding for Starbucks.
Okay.
So it's a very well-established model. The templates they give you for opening and operating the store are amazing. And we are now in about 14,000 square feet of space right here in Portland at Riverside and Warren Avenue.
So when you talk about the Restore, how do you get your materials to put into the store?
Everything in the store that we sell is donated. We have cabinets, we have appliances, we have doors, windows, furniture, lighting, flooring, pretty much anything you could use in building or updating your home. And it all comes in either through families who have excess materials that they don't use or have replaced things, and more now through contractors who are renovating homes and saying, I can keep stuff out of the landfill by donating it to Habitat.
So some of the materials that you have are slightly used.
They're all, yes, mostly all of them are used.
Okay, that's great. So you've been with Habitat for a short period of time?
Well, a year and a half, it's a long time.
I guess in the nonprofit world it is. What do you think when you walked into it, and you were what position before this?
I was CEO of the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce for 15 years.
So 2 different types of organizations.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get into that in a minute. So when you talk about transitioning into a nonprofit, okay, and especially from another nonprofit, what were some of the If you had to give advice to a new executive director who is making this transition, what would it be?
Well, the first thing I did was to go to a conference that Habitat International put on in Atlanta with a whole bunch of other new executive directors. And it was a 4-day high-profile education on how Habitat does what it does, how do you run your affiliate, and how do you solve the challenges that are coming at you.
What was or still is the biggest aha moment for you with Habitat that you didn't know about, that you were pleasantly surprised about?
Probably when we dedicated our first home last January. In
Under your
Freeport.
watch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we built 68 homes since this affiliate started.
Okay.
But this was kind of the moment that summarizes what it's all about. We had our entire staff there. The woman who moved into the home was just incredible. She's been a wonderful partner. She's a great advocate for Habitat, and she describes vividly what being a Habitat homeowner has meant to her life.
So when I was an executive director of an agency, one of the best moments that I used to have was when a program like that culminated. I used to just kind of sit back in the corner and watch it all happen and put it into perspective. What were your feelings when that person took the keys to the house?
That's why we're here. It just, so happy for her and so proud of everybody that was involved in it and making it happen. And it really is a team effort from our staff, coordinating the volunteers, getting the materials, getting people to donate time, labor. It's astonishing.
And you said that Portland has built 68 homes. Does that include renovating homes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, which we're not doing anymore.
No, so you're just building all new homes.
Yes.
And where are you building now?
We're building 8 in Freeport. We've got 3 of them that are occupied. We're completing the next duplex within the next 2 months.
Okay.
We already have families selected for those 2 units, and we've just started construction on the last 3, which will be completed next summer.
Okay. So about how much money do you have to raise besides the contributions and the sweat equity? How much cash do you have to raise per house?
How long do we have to answer that question?
Oh.
Well, that was the first thing I started trying to figure out when I got there, because in a nutshell, it costs us about $100,000 to build a home.
Cash.
Yes.
Okay.
Out of pocket. A lot of the rest of the money to build a home comes from grants, donations, sponsorships, in-kind contributions, and ultimately the homes we're selling in Freeport now are about $180,000, and we help finance them. I don't want to get too involved in that because it's complex, but a family with an income of $35,000 can buy one of our homes and pay $875 a month in housing costs, including insurance, property taxes, condominium fees, and reserve.
So when I started learning about Habitat, this was kind of an eye opener for me. I was always under the impression that when a family moved into a home, it was free, but they have to pay costs.
Yeah, we as our expression is, we don't give a handout, we give a hand up. They actually are paying a mortgage on the home as well as the other home ownership expenses.
So in the long run, they probably, having that kind of ownership and responsibility and what we call skin in the game is absolutely important for them to keep the house.
Yep, and we're basically the bank to a large degree on these homes. So we want to make sure that we pick homeowners who are well qualified, who understand what it means to own a home, and we send them through lots of training, budgeting, home repairs, that kind of thing.
So it's more than just providing them a home. It's really working with the family, or at least the adults in the family, to move them into what the concept of home ownership is and the responsibility behind it and being part of the community in that sense.
Yes. And in Freeport, it's a condominium association. We still own the majority of the units in there, so they're not running it yet. But once we turn it over to them, we're going to stay involved, sitting on their board, advising them so they understand how you operate one of these things for the best of the homeowners.
So how do you see the issues that you face as an executive of Habitat being similar to other nonprofits?
Well, I think the biggest You said you're going to ask me the biggest problem. I don't think it's a problem. I think the biggest challenge is trying to assure that you've got financing coming in from foundations, corporate sponsors, grants, individual donations that will allow you to do what you need to do to grow. We weren't satisfied building one home a year. Our goal is to build 10 to 15 a year.
It's pretty aggressive.
Yes, it is. So we had to find ways to replenish our capital, and we've done a few things that will allow us to do that. And on the side, we have a retail business, the retail store, the Restore, which we don't buy anything. It's all donated. So the only expenses of running that business are staffing, rent, heat, light, power. And that business is capable of doing $1 million a year for us with a large profit margin.
One of the things that I always stress with the clients that I work with in the consulting world is you have to create different funding opportunities.
Yeah.
And Habitat has always been a very good model for that because you do have a retail business. Now, if someone were to come in and purchase something from the store, is that tax deductible?
No, something is tax deductible when they give it to us as a gift,
Okay.
but we actually charge sales taxes on what people are buying.
So it's helping all around.
Yes.
But if someone would donate or write a check larger than the cost of the item, is that part deductible?
It's all deductible.
Okay. So do people do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we would encourage, hint, 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 if you go if you go to the store to make a always rounded up.
I guess people can do that. We don't.
You're not allowed
we
to
don't
say that.
push it. No, we do a lot of fundraising. We have an annual drive we're doing twice a year. And last year we raised something like $320,000 in charitable contributions to us.
That's great. That's great. So we're at the time of the show where I get to ask you a trivia question. And you have no idea what this question is or where it's coming from.
I think it's time for a commercial.
And then I do my mid-break, and then I'll come back and ask you for the answer. Okay, so this is a two-part trivia question. You're one of the lucky ones who gets a two-parter. Okay. Since Habitat for Humanity was founded in 1976, how many homes have been built or repaired by Habitat Humanity in the United States?
In the United States,
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, you're not supposed to give me your answer yet. You have some time to think
Okay.
about it. And then how many people are now living in Habitat for Humanity homes? We're going to take our break, and I'll do my midpoint identifier. This is David Unger, and I'm on Nonprofit Insider on WMPG 90.9 and 104.1 FM, community radio of Southern Maine and Eastern New Hampshire. Today we have Godfrey Wood, Executive Director of the Portland Habitat for Humanity. And I gave him two-part trivia question, which he's already said he doesn't know the answer to. So maybe in the last 15 seconds he was able to come up with the answer.
No.
All right.
If you ask me internationally, I can tell you the answer.
Well, maybe I got it wrong. So what is it internationally?
Over 800,000 homes around the world.
Okay, I got it wrong. You got the answer right, and I said nationally, and it is internationally. Okay, but did you get how many people live in it?
I'm assuming an average of 2.4 people per home.
So that comes up to what?
800,000 times 2.4. Where's my cell phone?
Actually, more than 4 million people are now living in Habitat for Humanity homes.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. And probably more. In some countries, there are higher number of family members. One of the other things we've done, in addition to building 68 homes in Cumberland County, is we tithe every year to Habitat International, and that goes to build and repair houses around the world. Last year, we tithed $36,000 to them, and we figure, according to them, we've helped build 147 other homes since our affiliate started.
Wow, those are impressive numbers.
It's big reach.
Big reach. How many countries is Habitat in?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. A lot of third world, European, or in the Americas?
Yeah, we actually get a choice of which country to tithe to. We've chosen Paraguay. It's been that way for a number of years. We actually had some of their representatives coming up to visit us this summer. So we planned a nice lobster roll brunch in the office and went to meet them at the airport. It turned out they had gone to the other Portland in Oregon. But we deployed people out there who welcomed them, and they worked in their home builds in that city, and that's what's great about the network.
Oh, that's intense. If you could change one thing tomorrow, what would it be? Related to Habitat, and what, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but what would be your vision that you would like to see achieved tomorrow?
The capacity to build more homes per year and serve more families.
So besides the finances, do you need more volunteers? Do you need more supplies?
Now, we can always find volunteers. There's no limit to those that want to be fulfilled doing something with us. The difficult part is finding land that we don't have to pay for, getting land donated. We're now working hard on putting together subdivisions because that's easier for us than building one house in Westbrook, one house in Naples, and what we call one-offs.
Okay.
So we're about to embark on a project in Scarborough to build 13 homes starting next spring.
And all the funding and financing's available with that?
It's complicated, but yes.
Okay. So if someone would donate $1 million to you tomorrow, no strings attached, what would you do with it?
Well, first of all, I would buy our building, which we're in the process of doing anyway, but that would eliminate some of the debt on it.
Okay.
And second of all, I would put it into a reserve account to use for more building projects as we find land.
Okay. Is endowment building important?
We don't have what I call an endowment. We have a reserve fund for future development projects. That's up to roughly $300,000 now.
Okay.
And that's designated by the board as needed, as wanted, to be used for affordable housing.
So how many staff people do you have?
We've got 9.
9. And how many are in the construction business?
2.
2?
Yep.
And
The rest are in the front office. We have 5 people in the front office and 4 in the restore. We have 11 employees. Sorry. We've actually just hired a truck driver for the restore, and he goes out and picks up materials from homes that are being renovated, and he is going full time.
so you really make it easy for people. All they have to
Just-
do is call you.
Just call his cell phone. Yeah.
Huh. So if you had the opportunity to talk with a donor about why they should contribute to Habitat, what would you tell them?
I would want them not just to donate, I would want them to come see and experience what we do, meet some of the families we serve, and once you do that, you can't not support it.
Describe the typical family if you can.
There's no typical family. Our board is just approving a family that we've been working with and interviewing and screening for more than 4 months. The board voted on it last night, and it's a family that's currently living with with grandparents in a home in a dangerous neighborhood. They have good, solid income, great character, and they are so fortunate in their minds to be awarded a Habitat home.
Do most of the families have children?
It's all over the place. We have the latest home we dedicated is a single mom with an 11-year-old daughter in Freeport, and the one before that is a single mom with 5 children, most of them grown, also in Freeport.
Wow. And, I don't think the community realizes the impact that Habitat has on any community. Just, because it really puts a pride in ownership and the ability for people to kind of pull up their bootstraps and say, we're going to do this for ourselves.
Yeah. We say that we're building hope and we're building community. And when you see the families we now have in Freeport, they're hugging each other, they're going back and forth to each other's house. We're going to have a nice, diverse community there, and they're all going to work together.
Wow. So I just lost my train of thought. I apologize. If someone wanted to contact Habitat, how would they do that?
Our website is habitatme.org, and my email address, which is a good way to get a hold of me, is godfrey@habitatme.org.
Phone number?
772-2151.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, I'm so thrilled to spend time with someone who's so involved with nonprofits and understands what they do, the impact they can have. And the nonprofit world is amazing. I've been in it for 20 years now, and it is just so much more rewarding than operating a regular business, trying to make a profit or increase your sales.
That's an interesting statement. I'm really glad that you stated that. If you had, besides the personal rewards that you just shared, if you had to tell our listeners one thing about working for a nonprofit that you don't think that they would know, what would it be?
I would want them to come see what our staff meetings are like on Tuesday mornings, see the teamwork, the spirit, the way we operate together. It's a consensus organization. Everybody has to speak at every staff meeting, and we ask people's opinions before we decide whether these houses we're building are going to have a garage or a basement, which is a big decision. And it's just, I got a card yesterday from my staff. I didn't know it was Boss's Day, and somebody gave it to me, and I said, I don't think of myself as a boss. And she said, well, it's not National Leadership Day, but the comments from the people that work with me are just amazing. I mean, it just makes me so proud that I work with all of them.
And I don't think that people, for the most part, who are not involved in the nonprofit world understand the nonprofit staff person. I mean, they're there not for the money, obviously.
No.
Okay. And when you go through raises, it's all depending on how much people can give to the organization. But they're not there for the money, but they're there because of the passion and their commitment to the mission to make something better and to change our communities.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll give you an example. For the last 7 months, I've been having one of my staff member come to each board meeting so the board members can get to know these people and what they do and why they're there. And last night we had one of our new employees in, and the board president said, so how did you end up coming to work for Habitat? And he said, well, before I did this, I was involved in a hunger program out in the West Coast. I moved east because I wanted to be here, and I had been offered a job at the University of Maine. And then I saw the Habitat ad, and I came in. I said, that's the job I want. Everybody needs to have food on the table and a roof over their heads. And he started crying.
Wow. You know, and we nonprofit execs all have those kind of stories because staff people work for the organization for different reasons, but it's all about helping people and making a change and making life in our communities better.
Yes, it is.
It's exciting stuff. So if you had to pick one issue, I'm not going to use the word problem, but issue that's a challenge for you, what would it be?
Challenge, the biggest challenge I see is making sure we don't overwhelm our board members with responsibilities or requests. We have great people on our board. They all work full time, and they like to do the service to Habitat, with Habitat, and to have an impact. But because our board president happens to be an attorney, I'm asking him many, many more things than he probably thought he would get asked. So I try to make it as easy as I can for the board members, as well as keeping them occupied and involved and engaged and understanding what we're doing.
So if I'm hearing something in between the lines here, it's establishing a comfortable expectation level between you and the board. So you're not overburdening them. They feel that they're being useful, but everybody's on the same page of what can be expected.
That's true. It's always a balance. How does a board member avoid micromanaging the organization or the chief executive? And how do I make sure that I'm leading the board and trying to give them guidance and advice without interfering with their powers of governance?
Right. And that's a tough balance, especially when you have a hands-on type of organization like Habitat, because you're going to be calling these board members, I need help in this house in
Oh, yeah.
Freeport tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can you be there?
We actually, when we moved into our new restore last year, we had a board build night. And we had the entire board come out and help do construction and painting and laying tiles and things like that. And I decided the other day I'm going to have a board build day every year where we ask all the board members to come out and help on the construction of a new home.
That's a great board leadership bonding process. And most boards don't do that or have the opportunity to do something like that.
Well, this way they can see exactly what it is we do every day.
Right. And they can have ownership in the project. It's really a nice touch at that point. Well, this was a great interview. I'm glad you were able to join us
Thank
today.
you. When do we take the break you mentioned before?
Oh, we took it. That's the trivia question. I forgot to put the commercial on, but this is community radio, so there isn't any. Is there any closing statement you'd like to tell the listeners?
No, I just want to tell everybody thanks for listening in. Thank you for your support of nonprofits, understanding what we're all doing, and try to appreciate what the nonprofits are doing for the community other than just creating jobs.
Or asking them for money all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that's the hard part about it.
Well, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. So next week, we have Representative Mike Michaud will be joining us in the last of our gubernatorial interviews. Representative Michaud will be here to talk about issues facing nonprofits today and his views on those issues. The music appears courtesy of Mike Hubbard. You can find it on www.michaelhubbardmusic.com. Check out Mike's website to see where he's playing this weekend. Thanks to Deb Danger, NPI's executive engineer, and subbing today is Jim Rand, station manager. Thank you, Jim. You can catch Deb on Morning Streets Fridays at 6:30. If you know of a nonprofit that should be on the show, please email me at npi@davidunger.net. Past shows are archived at www.tcmgr.com, NP Insider tab. Until next week.
You've been listening to Nonprofit Insider here on WMPG. Coming up next, Zuki Russi with Our Tour.
Pedal to the floor, no more feet in the door. Gonna drive right out of this bitter night. I'm a constant seeker in Converse sneakers, always chasing.